Good day, students. Welcome to biology class. We'll begin from where we continued last time. In our lesson today, we'll be considering a topic: conservation of natural resources. Conservation of natural resources. We will start this lesson by giving a definition of what conservation is. Conservation of natural resources is the plan and wise use and safekeeping of natural resources for the good of mankind, to ensure their continuous availability and to preserve the original nature of the environment. By explanation, simply what conservation of natural resources means is the plan and wise use. The plan and wise use of our resources. We plan the way we use our resources, and we also use them wisely. And we also keep the natural resources safe. Apart from we planning and using the resources wisely, we must ensure that we keep the resources safe for the good of mankind, to ensure their continuous availability, so that in future these resources will be available for us to use, and to preserve the original nature of the environment without tampering with the original nature of the environment, without degrading the environment from which these resources are found. Natural resources, what are they? Natural resources, what are they? Natural resources are useful things provided by nature. These are things which are of use to man that are provided by nature. From the word natural, they are natural, they are not man-made. They are provided or created by God to benefit man. Examples are soil, water, wildlife, forest, minerals, sunlight, and air. These are examples of natural resources. Natural resources are classified into two. Natural resources are classified into two. 1. Renewable or replaceable resources. Renewable or replaceable resources are those which can only be replaced by offspring, that is, by reproduction. Examples are trees and animals. From this statement, renewable or replaceable resources are those resources that are replaced in the environment when they are used by offspring, that is, by reproduction. It means therefore that if these resources are used in the environment, the only way to replace these resources back is through giving birth by the parent, that is, by reproduction. For example, when trees are cut down to be used for timber, for construction, or for burning as fuel in form of firewood or charcoal, these trees can only be gotten back to the environment, or can only be replaced back to the environment, if the parent tree was cut to a level that the parent tree will grow back or regenerate. It means therefore, if the trees are cut with the undergrowth, the tree cannot be replaced. So likewise, animals. If you have animals at home and these animals are used either as source of protein in form of food for man, if the parent animal are killed or slaughtered and are used for food, this parent animal cannot reproduce their offspring again. It means therefore that if the parent has already reproduced, it is just offspring that will replace the parent. If not, that animal is gone and is gone forever. That is why we say there are resources that can only be replaced by offspring, that is, by the production. 2. Non-renewable or irreplaceable resources are those resources which cannot be replaced when the initial stock is used up. The opposite of renewable or replaceable resources. They cannot be replaced when the initial stock is used up. Examples are petroleum, coal, gold, diamond, copper, and iron. What this means is that if you look at these resources, the non-renewable resources, from the example we've given, most of them are non-living things. So therefore, they don't reproduce. This means that once you use any of these resources, you cannot get them back to the environment. They cannot be replaced back. For example, when you use petroleum as a fuel to drive the engine of cars, once that petroleum is exhausted, you cannot get it back. Therefore, even iron, even gold, diamond, and copper that are used in production of utensils, jewelry, trophies, medals, once you use these resources, you cannot get them back, or you cannot replace them back to the environment, because they don't reproduce. They are young ones that will take over from them. Therefore, those resources must be carefully managed to avoid their shortage until acceptable substitutes are found. You must make sure that you carefully manage them to avoid them from being extinct, or from avoid them from being short in the environment until you find a replaceable substitute for them. For example, now in most developed countries, we have machines and engines that have been driven by solar energy instead of the petroleum. So in such situations, these are the only ways you can replace such resources, or you can get a substitute for them to take over their work. We will pick these resources one after the other, and we'll look at how to conserve them. The first on the list is conservation of soil. Conservation of soil. The soil needs to be conserved if we are to avoid shortage of food and famine. We all know that our plants grow on soil. Without soil, we don't have plants. We will not have plants, and in turn, we will not have food, and that will lead to famine, because soil is the habitat, or is the place where we grow our plants. And if soil is not conserved, it means therefore we are going to experience food shortage, which will in turn lead to famine. Methods of conserving soil. Methods of conserving soil. How do we plan the use of soil wisely to ensure its continuous availability? Number one, the erosion of the soil must be checked by planting grasses and legumes to prevent the washing away of the fertile top soil. We all know that erosion is the washing away, or is the wearing away of the topmost layer of the soil, either by ice, by wind, or by water. And to avoid this now, we have to plant grasses and legumes to prevent the topsoil from being eroded. Because if the topsoil is being eroded, the soil will become less fertile. It means that the crops will not yield as it should. Crops should be planted on ridges across slopes to prevent the topsoil from being eroded. When you have a slopy environment, you have to make ridges to plant crops on them, because ridges prevent the force, or break the force of running water, and also reduce the force of wind. Number two, practicing shifting cultivation and crop rotation helps to conserve soil fertility. We all know that shifting cultivation is an agricultural practice where the farmer plants on a particular piece of land this year, and the following year the farmer shifts or changes to another place. And crop rotation. Crop rotation simply is a practice in agriculture in which the farmer changes the type of crop he plants year in, year out. For example, if the farmer plants crops like beans this year, next year the farmer will plant crop like maize, or crop like cassava. The crops can be deep-rooted or shallow-rooted. We all know that shallow-rooted crops take up the fertile nutrients from the topmost layer of the soil, while the deep-rooted crops pick the nutrients that are deeply embedded in the soil. 3. Bush burning should be avoided, as bush burning destroys timber, young trees, seeds, and the rich humus in the floor of the forest. By this now, we know that during land preparation for farming by most farmers, at the end of land clearing, the residues in the farm are mostly burned down, or in most cases, the farmlands are set on fire by the farmers to clear the land for the farming season. Also, we also have hunters that set bushes on fire to send out the animals from their hiding. And if these bushes are being burned, if there are timbers in those bushes or in those lands that are meant to be used for wood, for building construction, and also for road construction, these timbers now will be burned down. Young trees too are burned down. Seeds of trees too are burned down, and the rich humus in the floor of the forest. We know organic humus is a very essential component of organic manure that boosts or increases soil fertility, which in turn increases crop yield, which in turn will prevent food shortage and then in turn prevent famine. Number 4, manure should be added to the topsoil to make it fertile. Manure should be added to the topsoil to make it fertile. Addition of manure increases soil fertility, which boosts crop yield and also results to availability of food. Number 5, mulching. This involves the spreading of a layer of vegetation materials on cultivated farmland. This is to prevent direct impact of rain. When rain falls and then this rainfall has direct impact with the soil, it's losing the soil, thereby making it easy to be blown away by wind in terms of wind erosion, or to be washed away by running water in times of water erosion. Benefits of soil conservation. What do we stand to gain when we conserve soil? Number 1, it ensures preservation of soil nutrients. When soils are conserved, the soil nutrients are preserved. Hence, healthy growth of plants and therefore increase in food for man. If that is done, we're going to have healthy growth of plants and therefore we'll have increase in food for man. 2, it provides raw materials for some industries. Industries like the ceramic industries, like the brick industries, and also the construction industry, that's the building industries, use soil as one of their essential raw materials. Also in pot making, especially the clay pots, they are used as essential raw materials for this production. Number 3, it provides healthy habitat for soil organisms. We have organisms that live in soil and it serves as their habitat. If soil is preserved, it provides a healthy habitat for these soil organisms. And most of these soil organisms help in aerating the soil, in loosening the soil, and also they aid in decomposition of organic matter. That they act on dead decay remains of plants and animals and change it into organic humus, which is a source of organic manure that boosts soil fertility, thereby increasing yield of crops. Number 4, preservation of soil fertility is ensured. If that is done, we ensure that our soil fertility is preserved. That means our soil is fertile, and then therefore we are going to have healthy growth of plants. Number 5, it prevents desertification. Desertification is the changing of an environment with vegetation into a one with a scanty or no vegetation. and it's just a situation whereby an environment that is filled with vegetation is changed into one that has scanty or no vegetation. That is what we call desertification. It's the process in formation of a desert.